Colossus and everybody else is Deadpool.
And I suggested that Colossus and the Deadpools be your mercenary company name.
Colossi and Deadpools.
T-Hole has gotten pretty close to death and then bounced back a lot.
That's why his empire has reigned as he has for so long.
It's like twice you've been on the verge of zero. Once you hit zero.
Yeah, that was close.
So last time you had reached the town of Bogtown in the middle of a freshwater peat bog on the eastern side of the Bordermire Swamp. You were looking for a dwarf named Samus Holbein, who is the key to opening up a magical door, but he had wandered off into the wilds hoping to solve a mystery of some disappearing elves in a nearby town called Alcator. You found one of the survivors of his party who claimed to have escaped from a group of possibly slavers, but all you really know about them was that they were Quaggoth, which are uncommon on the surface. She somehow made her way through the swamps at night, avoiding being recaptured by some pursuing Quaggoths, and made it back to Alcator, but then was jumped by Quaggoths and temporarily hidden in the basement of an abandoned home while the Quaggoth waited for night to fall again. You rescued her and made your way north because this was the last major settlement that she and her group had passed through before they plunged into the swamp where they got captured. You've since heard that there is a temple complex to the north, and it seems as if signs are pointing towards the Quaggoth having led the group back there. That may be where the Quaggoth are holed up and where the missing elves have been taken to. As you wake up in the morning, you had been ambushed last time in the home of the one last remaining, apparently not crazy resident of Bogtown, the mayor named Ilich. And he let you inside before the rest of the villagers came and attacked you. But they reassaulted the house and broke through the door, which one of you had unfortunately knocked off its hinges, which allowed them to push inside and attack you all. There was a fairly long fight, as there were a lot of them. You managed to overcome them, though, but not before several fires were set inside the house, which eventually consumed the whole dwelling. Ilich died in the combat, killed by some of his own townsfolk. In the morning, you then took refuge in a nearby hut. In the morning, you came out. The fire of the house was still burning. And as you emerged from the hut, you see your colleague and comrade, Zarius, the Dragonborn, leading Elise and Alec Brewer. And Elise sees you coming out of the hut and says, "Oh, not you, assholes."
Pleasure to see you too, ma'am.
Elise Brewer opened the hut door?
No, you were just coming out in the morning after getting a long rest.
And Elise Brewer is there?
She's coming up to you with Zarius. Apparently they were traveling together.
Who's Zarius?
He's a Tony's character, Dragonborn in your company.
Oh, okay.
Who was traveling a few days behind you, so he is just catching up with you now.
Good morning, beautiful. Aren't you looking like sunshine today?
She turns and she's just punching her husband, saying, "These are the ones who attacked me."
Attacked? I find that insulting. More like accosted?
She looks at you for a second and then turns back to her husband and just starts punching him more, not saying anything this time.
So Lusharosi, who for Tony's benefit, currently has his hood down because he's unconcerned at the moment of other people seeing his countenance. So he is kind of a white, lion-faced man of celestial heritage with a mane of iridescent colored hair that kind of catches in the light and colors it shows different colors depending on the way that the wind catches it and whatever. But he looks to you and the brewers and says, How did you make it through the dolls? Did you encounter them along your way?
I'll quickly describe what you see with Zarius. He's clearly a copper dragonborn, but his scales don't have very much luster to them anymore. They've gone faded a little bit with his old age, and even the tendrils that come down his back and the side of his head are whitening. And whenever he walks with an obvious limp. But being a creature of an enormous gait, he's able to maintain pace with everybody, even with the limp. But yeah, he just looks to the couple, the woman beating the guy, and then looks back, and I will say truthfully, then I do not recall any dolls.
We wouldn't have gone into that part of the swamp. What are we, crazy?
Clearly, we did not have the best of guides when we began traversing this way.
Clearly not.
Hellway looks at you and he's like, that was the best way through the swamp.
No doubt, Hellweir. No doubt. It was. Of course, your skills were useful. We would not have gotten to this point without them.
So, why did you bring these useless people with you, Dragonborn?
Let me try and remember that, actually. Hold on.
Hellweir, we really do need to work on your manners.
Elise says, well, after... Why did you burn this house down? What's going on in this village? We were going to resettle here.
Well, you still can resettle. It just means you get to build new. You don't have to worry about the old.
The people of this town had their minds addled and became somewhat savage and murderous. The one person left with any sense was unfortunately killed last night as they came into his home. We did our best to push back against the attack, but unfortunately our efforts were for naught.
It seems trouble has followed you a very long way.
Yes, Elise is standing right here. You should not talk about her like that.
She squints her eyes and stares at you. This from the pair that attacks old women on ladders.
Is that what you two were doing in there?
I was saving her from a rat, I think.
I will offer no defense other than we were trying to get more information.
So Lusharosi just kind of palms his face.
Yeah, and Alec looks really nervous when you say that. Afraid you're going to give him up, probably.
Why? Can you remind me again why we'd give him up?
Alec had asked you. Yeah, Alec had asked you to investigate his wife.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. So yes. An emperor need not tell his ways. It just is.
So, what's Tony? What's your character's name?
Zarius.
So Zarius, do you have any updates or information that might be useful as we join up and try to seek out Samus?
Potentially, but my memory is shit.
And Elise says, well, I notice you three apparently are unscathed. But despite your supposed help, this village of Alcator is all but gone. The few survivors that are left are fleeing. We had hoped to come here and set up a new brewery, but this town is a shithole.
Do you know what has caused the addled minds?
We're not 100% sure, but we have suspicions of a temple to the north that may hold some key as to the nature of whatever curse has befallen this land. Additionally, I've been hearing a strange calling of despair in that it's generally to the north, you said, right? Kurt?
Yep, northeast.
Northerly.
Yeah.
So I've also been hearing this strange calling.
Sorry, northwest. My mistake.
All right.
Yeah. I look to the northwest that way.
Yes, exactly. Can you hear it too? Or feel it rather? It's hard to know exactly what this is.
I do. Difficult to say if it is a source of this or another issue on its own.
I have doubts as to whether it is the source of the trouble here, but I do have a sense that it is a soul in danger or under some heavy burden that needs to be freed.
It is most likely elven magic. Do not be tricked.
Even if it is Hellweir, I cannot take that chance. Asheros's light must shine and reveal what it must to me. And so I have a strong sense to go to it and offer what assistance I might. And if it is what you think of as elven sorcery or trickery or whatever it is, then the light of Asheros will dispel it. And it should no longer distract other travelers such as we.
And as you're having this conversation, the fire continues to burn in the house, and you hear a crack as the house begins to crumble in on itself.
Ooh. How far away from the house are we?
Really, however far you want to be.
Okay.
You camped a fair distance away so that anything that was drawn out by the firelight wouldn't automatically find you. So it's a pretty good distance away.
Okay. I turned to Elise and I was like, So you said what happened to Alcator? How is what has befallen my fair city?
We were attacked in the night. Many elves. Well, it was a combination of those white furred creatures you found, a couple of drow, and several lizard men, maybe other things. We mostly barricaded ourselves in. We're not really combatants. And everybody give me an insight check.
While we're doing the insight, Lusharosi will curse to himself and said, I knew we should not have left that town unprotected.
Insight. Bam. Oh, it doesn't matter. Lusharosi's a god.
Well, Zarius tied him, and it wasn't even a natural 20.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can just click on it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hold on a sec.
So T-Hole, Lusharosi, and Zarius, you all notice both that you think she's lying when she says they barricaded themselves in, and that Alec looks a little surprised, not overly surprised, but a little bit surprised when she says that.
It's like,
How did I find them again?
How did you find whom?
Those two?
You were in Alcator. You were talking to the half-orc Clumflavoons, and these two came up, and because they wanted
Got
to,
it.
everybody else was fleeing because they wanted to flee here rather than to the other place.
Right.
And
Okay.
they offered to let you protect them.
Right.
You may have the privilege of protecting us. So T-Hole kind of he's still wearing the crown,
Yes.
and he kind of like leans forward. He's like, I don't think you're telling the truth.
And Alec begins to stammer at that, and she looks at Alec and then back at you and says, well, I didn't want to say, but he barricaded himself inside. I went out and tried to help people.
And T-Hole turns to Alec and says, is this true?
Yeah, it's just, I did lock the door and looked out the window. I didn't go out during the fighting. I'm too old to fight. But she did. She did leave the house and run out.
Does she look like cut up or like worse for wear?
No. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, she's not obviously injured, but you don't necessarily know when she says she tried to help people that meant she was tackling 8-foot tall Quaggoths.
Well, I'm presuming that she would probably be wearing the same clothes, so I didn't know if like her clothes would have any sign of like.
They're actually lugging quite a bit of gear with them, so you would guess she could have changed.
Okay.
Like they were planning on basically taking enough to restart a life here.
Oh, okay. It's like, so they attacked in the night and retreated, and then they left during the day. They went disappeared.
They attacked early in the evening, and then they disappeared after they killed a lot, but captured some remaining elves. There are no elves left in Alcator, so pretty much I think everyone's just going to give up and go to Watchtower. At least that's what Clumflavoons was urging everyone to do.
For the time being, that is probably for the best. It's unfortunate that we were not there to lend our aid.
I wouldn't have helped those damned elves. Good, they're gone.
Hellweir, you and I both know, regardless of elven saving or whatever, that you would be more than willing to test your might against enemies such as the Quaggoth.
The only thing I wish I would have done was collect their ears after they died.
You may get the chance yet. Those elves have to go somewhere. And it sounds like they'll go and they'll come back. So with any luck, we'll run into a whole host of them on our way to the northwest. Which I still don't see what this dread feeling is. I'm feeling fairly gay.
I believe it.
It is at least to some degree linked to the swamp and the child whose spirit seems to inhabit this place and these dolls.
What was the name of the dwarf smith? Gruzza. T-Hole asks, what if Gruzza has suspicion only intensified after the rest of the elves are taken?
Well, of course she had something to do with it. She happens to go for a walk and never comes back on the same day they come in and take everyone.
I mean, it does make sense. She has to.
I would also note that you left and took a long walk and never came back on the day somebody came in and took everyone.
Well, now I know where you are, so you just best beware now.
Where is everyone? Where are the villagers? Is there anyone left?
Unfortunately not. We had met up with one of Samus's companions,
Amphilis,
Lady
Lady
Amphilis. And
Yeah,
she went
she's
off.
still there with you.
Oh, okay, she's still there.
She came. She did run off after Larson, who you had seen
Right,
attack
Larson.
the night before.
that dude,
But she
Who,
came.
who was the guy that Lusharosi healed along the way, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you think you broke like whatever charm or whatever it was that was affecting him, but it caused him to just sort of run off
Right.
in the middle of the fight. She tried to chase him down, but then she said he was too fast for her, so he disappeared into the swamp before she could catch him.
Do you know if he ran to the northwest?
Yeah, I believe he did.
Well, then, perhaps we can kill two birds with one stone, because I am afraid. What's his name again? Larson. I'm afraid Larson will not fare well by himself in these swamps, especially if there are Quaggoth about, and now Drow. This threat is just getting more complicated.
Did you guys encounter the hobgoblin hunting party on your travel here?
We did not. Where did you encounter them?
On the path here.
How many?
I don't know that I wrote that down. You saw like 5 hobgoblins involved.
Half a dozen.
Which do you know which way they went?
Don't think they had a specific direction.
What were they hunting? Were they hostile? Did you have to escape them?
They approached and quickly lost interest and moved on.
You would remember that, I know it was a while ago, but you did find a letter in Seamus Holbein's possessions where apparently his brother-in-law said that he had hired a group of bounty hunters, hobgoblin bounty hunters, who tracked Gruzza, and they were stationed and waiting for him to make contact with them in the hills to the south of here.
So it seems that we have several directions that we can take. Northwest will lead us to the Crying Soul, and will not be too far off from the temple, which may be the origin of the curse that has befallen this land. Or we can once more resume our efforts in finding Samus and hope that he has traveled south to meet with the hobgoblins. Lady Amphilis, do you recall Samus mentioning anything about the hobgoblins, or did you have any encounters with them in Samus's company?
He did mention that he wanted to go into the hills, but he didn't. We didn't actually go that way. We decided to head towards Bogtown first. He seemed to think that was kind of a separate matter from finding the elves.
Mm-hmm. Well,
wait, that the
whatever
hobgoblins
business
in the hills.
Yeah, whatever
was
business
separate?
he had. He didn't mention hobgoblins, but whatever business he had in the hills, he seemed eager to get there, but wanted to solve the mystery of the disappearing elves first.
I do recall something about a missing axe that he was very interested in. That might be the thing that he was concerned about to the south then.
He did mention an axe. He wanted us to, not me personally, but one of our crew, while he was on a walk with Gruzza, he had one of our group go through and search her home for an axe. Once, he got her a good distance away so she wouldn't know he was looking. I don't think we never found it. At least our companion didn't find it there. So I don't know that anything ever came of the axe.
I think that we owe it to the people of Elkator, especially since we were unable to defend them against the threat, that we might at least try to uncover the mystery of this curse and free the land so that they may return.
I am in agreement. I cannot let my people suffer in this way. As their rightful king, I have to do my part to save them. And if that means going to a dark and lonely temple to do some crying, then so be it.
Well,
You are a humble yet courageous leader.
Humility is my my key attribute. By the way, T-Hole like puts out his hand and like reaches out to Zarius, is like, I'm T-Hole, the ruler and founder of the Empire, as well as Alcator.
You would know him, as he's a member of your mercenary company. He was just delayed in traveling with you. But you may.
T-Hole would still.
T-Hole would still do it.
Yeah, T-Hole would still do that anyway.
Zarius would just regard you for a moment without moving. I'm aware of who you think you are. It does not matter here.
Suit yourself, but it does matter here and everywhere.
How?
Let us not worry about frivolous things when action must be taken.
I'll look to the brewers and ask, do you need assistance returning to civilized lands?
Well, civilized lands they're a pretty good distance away. I don't know how we're going to make it there without protection. And Lady Amphila says, well, perhaps for now we should just let them travel with us, and if we can push them along out of the swamp later on, that'd be great. But for now, I don't want to see them get killed by some random monster between here and Watchtower.
I agree. Reluctant as I might be to drag these two into further danger, I do not see any alternative but to have them accompany us.
Yes. And it may turn out that bait could be fairly handy to have, so.
Bait?
T-Hole, I hope you are not suggesting that we use our companions as bait.
Clearly
No.
it means that we could use him for ransom.
Yes. Also, when we meet the hobgoblins, we are most likely going to have to trade slaves. These two look good enough.
I don't know about Alec. He did barricade himself during the attack, after all.
Elise and Alec, please ignore these two. I have no words.
We really will
Just
need slaves,
ignore
though.
them.
I believe the term is insufferable.
Indeed, Zarius, indeed.
And Lady Amphila says, we're burning light here, so I don't know what's going on in the Northwest, some crying soul or spirit or something, but I think we should head to the temple. The temple is off to the northeast. They're not necessarily in opposite directions, but they're not all on the same line either.
I was under the assumption that the Northwest was the temple.
No, the temple.
Northwest is the crying.
The presence does press against me. It does draw me near.
Zarius, I think that as much as the presence is impacting us and calling to us, I think the bigger picture and the thing needing our attention most at the moment is the temple. If there is a curse upon this land that is causing men to become addled.
There's a curse upon
Sad-
this land, then all the people are dead. We need not worry any longer.
And you notice that the that feeling of desperation has suddenly changed. Now it's more a feeling of being threatened or of a threat being present. It's actually it's actually more, it's almost more defiant now. Like whatever this voice or feeling is, it now feels hostile towards something nearby.
Darius, do you sense that? A
I do.
change in the force.
Just feeling I've not felt in a very long time.
And it changes again a bit to now it feels worried for someone.
So there's another person here besides the brewers.
Yes, there's a halfling named Lady Amphilis, who was traveling at one point with the dwarf same as Holbein, but she escaped when they were captured by Quagos when somebody tried to enslave them, and so she ran off back to Alcator, somehow staying ahead, even though she's a halfling, of the Quaggoth, only to get caught right as she entered Alcator.
All right. I'll take a glance at her and just to make sure her demeanor doesn't mimic the feeling that we get.
Okay, give me an insight check.
Sure. Insight. Where you at, you bastard? There you are. Boom. Oh, look at that. Another one.
Okay, let me just see. Yeah, you get a weird vibe off of her too. It's very similar to Elise. Like sometimes she's just staring off into space, not saying anything.
Right.
She's not as abrasive as Elise. She's a little more helpful than Elise, but the other half the time it's a very similar, like she's just calculating something.
Hmm. And they're both from these, all of them, or only Elise had that, right? Not
Yeah,
Alec.
only Elise. Alec just looks lost half the time, but he looks consistently lost half the time.
Sure. Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
Zarius, I am concerned with this change that has happened. Whatever it is that is calling to us. I think that perhaps as much as we need to find sameness for our patron, and as much as this land needs our help, there's something about this that is just, it just doesn't feel right.
The only way to find out more is to go to the source.
What say you, T-Hole and Hellweir?
I have no idea what you're feeling, but whatever you're feeling, I'll go there. I just feel sadness for my people who are scattered so.
It is unfortunate.
I do not mind destroying elven magics. Or elves, for that matter.
All right.
What is your feeling upon the half-elves?
They are half as annoying as elves.
They were the ones killing the elves in the other town.
Well, then I feel good about them, then.
Lady
They're my new
Amphilis,
favorites.
I understand your desire to go to the temple, but if you would accompany us a bit longer, it would be greatly appreciated if you could lend a hand.
So she's just sort of staring off into the middle distance at the moment, but she turns back to you and says, "What is it exactly that you're looking for?" I don't quite understand this feeling that you're getting.
When we were fighting against the dolls, there was a presence there. And after I had made the doll in order to quiet the spirit as an offering, I feel like there was a sense of gratitude or a lightness. And after that, I think because its spirit had touched my senses, that I became a bit more attuned to its source, and I began to hear it crying out. Now, whether this is the spirit or if it is Asheros who is leading me in this direction, I cannot say, but pull is strong. And I feel a need to understand what this is and resolve the conflict which is creating it.
Well, if it's related to the dolls, I don't have any objection to checking it out. I just hope we can do it quickly.
Indeed, that is my hope as well.
So why don't we set out if everyone's ready?
Mr. and Mrs. Brewer, are you willing to accompany us to this?
Alex, who has been carrying 90% of their luggage, just starts dropping bags. I suppose we can store some of the bags here. Doesn't look like anyone will come to take them.
You can use this hut.
Thank you.
It's a fine hut for sleeping and bag storage.
So he starts picking them up and carrying them in one by one. It looks like for a second Elise was going to object and say you should carry them the whole way, but she does not.
Additionally, I will cast Aid, and I will grant the benefit to Elise, Alec, and T-Hole.
Okay.
So they each get 5 temporary hit points.
Thanks for the aids.
So you give them aids, and then so you're setting out, or does anybody have anything they want to do?
I'm ready to set out.
Okay, so following the sense you have of this voice in your head, almost immediately you have to walk across the stone road, the Imperial Road that cuts through the swamp, and then it's really just leading you down the other side of it into the freshwater swamp again. So, as before, essentially you need to have Hellweir lead the way and find a path for you, which means it's not a straight trek. The water's a little too cold to swim in completely safely, and walking without the assistance of the ranger in front would lead you into mud traps that would just bog you down and possibly force you to drown. So it's easier just to let him pick out a path. It takes a while, and you see you're getting further and further from Bogtown, but the pillar of smoke from the house behind you at least always keeps it's like a beacon behind you. You always know the direction of Bogtown from where you are, but still you're getting deeper and deeper. The water is getting blacker for the most part. You see in the water there's the semi-preserved, half-pickled bodies of animals that have gotten trapped in the various mud pits that are just absorbing the peat and the acid from the water. As you continue on, in the distance, not that far away, you can feel the sense of panic and hostility is getting stronger. At least Zarius and Lusharosi can feel it. And you hear a scream that sounds like a female humanoid voice coming probably from not that far away, maybe 200 or so feet.
Sarius, did everybody hear that, or was that just me?
Describe it again.
The feeling in your head was still of hostility and some degree of panic or at least apprehension, but you then heard an actual physical scream.
Okay.
Is it so? You said the water was getting darker. Is the getting darker in general,
You don't.
or is it just the water?
It's just the water. It's still pretty early in the day. It's maybe 11 a.m. at the latest. It's probably not even that, 10 a.m. by the time you reach this point. And sorry. Wait, I don't see Zarius anymore. Oh, you're up
Way
here
over here.
for some reason. There you go. So yeah, what's actually happening is as you're getting deeper into the swamp, the peat is becoming more and more concentrated. So it's releasing more and more acid into the water. That's just making the water more difficult to see through.
Gotcha.
But you don't get the sense that it's dangerous. I mean, the water is acidic, but it's like vinegar level acidic.
Okay. I'll yell to Hellware, Hellware, hurry! Lead us through quickly.
Very well.
The area you're in now is relatively shallow, so there's not as much need. You're unlikely to find like a mud trap here in the immediate area. But as you were traveling, there were a number of places where you might have hit one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's
How
no
we realize
danger
that.
immediately directly between me and the scream.
Right.
All right. Well, then in that case, Lusharosi will call Hellware and Lady Amphilis to come with me and direct T-Hole ask T-Hole and Zarius to hold back a little bit of ways.
Sure.
So, in fact, from where you are, you can see there is a woman ahead of you. She looks as though she's somewhat green in complexion, standing next to a tree. She's being attacked by what looks like maybe some sort of zombie, although there appears to be a lot of moss. Maybe it's just the peat growing out of it. And there are 3 orbs of light that are circling around her, zipping back and forth.
Can I use my sense corruption?
Yes, you can.
And what does that tell me?
What's the distance on it?
60 feet, so I'd need to get closer then.
Yep.
Right? Well,
You could still give me a knowledge religion check.
All right.
Or religion check, as it's called. Yeah, it's just something ahead of you. It looks like a zombie and some orbs of light.
All right, so I'm going to run ahead and trust that Hellware and Lady Amphilis are following.
Yeah, Hellway's following. He's got his bow drawn.
All right, everybody roll initiative.
Oh, I got
Yeah, it's not bad.
sweet. I'm not re-rolling that.
Every goddamn time.
And make sure you click on your character.
Every time.
I can just add you manually, but
Yeah, it works. I forget they have to click on your character to make it work.
I didn't do that, did I? God damn it.
but I can add your character. It just won't have your token picture next to it.
Should be okay.
Oh, I didn't do those guys.
Oh, wait, we get 2 action points a session, right?
Yep. So, Hellweir, you're first.
All right. So it looks like this thing. Hang on. This thing is attacking. So there's zombie things attacking the lady.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna move up a bit closer. 5, 10, 30, and then. How far away is that? God damn, that's ages.
That's
Wide open
ages.
area. Sometimes parties have archers. I sometimes design these things so that archers can do something.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna use my bow to try and hit the zombie.
Okay.
So the hit.
That is a hit.
All right. Cool. And that's damage as well. So, and then I let me just double check if I can do this. Oh yeah, sweet. And then I'm gonna use the push attack maneuver on the zombie.
Okay.
So it has to do a strength roll. Yes, strength saving throw.
Let's see.
It's saved. Yeah, so nothing happens.
Okay. You see, the dryad is. I suppose I just gave away what it is, but the dryad swings and whacks at this at the zombie ahead of her with a staff she's holding. Doesn't seem as if the zombie is too bothered by it, though. Teal.
All right.
You also, at this point, you hear a second scream, another female scream similar to the first one, but it's further off.
T-Hole is going to move. Maybe. Let's see, he's right here. So he's going to move 30 feet. That's not what I wanted.
Draw a line.
Yeah, he's going to move about there. And turn. And he's going to shoot a firebolt. Firebolt at the dryad. So
Okay.
firebolt's 120-foot range.
At the dryad?
Whoever is attacking.
Well, the zombie attacked the dryad, and the dryad attacked the zombie.
Oh, sorry. I'm shooting the zombie. Sorry.
I say kill them all.
Let God sort them out. I'm sorry. Lusharosi.
Yeah, so he could totally hit. So he's doing a fireball at the zombie.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, you can change the color of your line if you have difficulty seeing it by just clicking on the color next to your name at the bottom.
ooh.
Because I couldn't see your line.
Does that look good?
Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, it's well within range.
Yeah. So yeah, I hit him. I'm guessing a 24 hits.
Yes, at 24 hits.
So that's 11 fire damage.
You see the thing partially catches on fire, but it appears to be so wet that there's a cloud of steam that goes up.
So fire not be maybe the best choice here. Seems kind of swampy.
Who would have thought?
The great T-hole, of course.
You see one of the, actually two of the globes of light start moving in your direction. And they, once they get to about there, they both vanish.
Okay.
The other globe of light moves in and passes directly through the dryad, and seems to come out the other side of her and moves off. But she manages to dodge it. The zombie then lashes out, trying to just slam a fist down on her, but also misses. Alec looks to his wife to figure out what to do, but she's not providing with much direction. Lady and Phyllis will charge forward, but this is going to be a long run for her.
Ivar can relate.
Elise actually raises her club, but doesn't rush forward and doesn't have a real ranged attack. Lusharosi.
All right. So first, I'm going to dash. I'm going to move and dash. So that'll put me right about there. I think that's there, right? Was I here? At 60 feet?
Yeah, about there.
All right. So that...
I don't think I'm in the initiative. Because I should have been before him. I got a 16.
Oh, I didn't realize that you weren't in there. So I will add you as well.
Slip him in. Yep.
So I'll do my move, and then Zarius, you can go, and then I'll finish.
I was just looking at the turn order. I'm like, hey, where am I at?
Yeah, if you click your token before you roll the initiative, it'll put you in there automatically. But it's easy to forget that. So you can go now.
Can I? I don't know. I don't think I can. It's like click on my character and nothing happens.
You click on your character, then you click on initiative. Like
your character sheet. You have to have your character sheet open, but you select your character token, then click initiative on your character sheet. But I've added you. It's just I've added you artificially.
So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I can see them now. I had to actually change my little thingy up here to selective mode.
Yeah, the little thing on the left there, yep.
Yeah, I was on the ruler. Let's see here. Let's confirm. Which one? That's the zombie, right?
Yep.
No. Oh, is it?
Yep. This is the zombie.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, gotcha.
Dryad. And this
that's one of the little orbs of light. Yes, technically it is a will-o'-the-wisp.
Let's see here. I think I can do... Because that's a little too far away for... So the zombie's been hit?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do Toll the Dead. Yeah. DC 11? Is that really true? That's all right. Be 4 plus... I think the DC got jacked up on my spells.
Toll the Dead is a save?
15, yeah.
Yeah, 15.
Wisdom save, DC 15, not 11. On the zombie there.
It fails.
Fail. The damage is right, at least. 2d6 or 2d12 there. Rolled two threes apparently. So.
Heal.
You see, it is pretty much blackened already from having lain in the swamp, but you do see it slightly wither further.
Alrighty. I'm sure I don't have any bonus action stuff I want to do. Let's just do it again. I think that'll be all for now.
Lusharosi, were you doing anything else?
Yeah, so with where I moved, that puts me within 60 feet, doesn't it?
65.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, if you were trying to get within 60 feet, then you could have done it, presumably. No.
Yeah, I thought, because I tried to move and I found a square that was 60 feet and then was 60 feet away. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah,
this thing.
I don't necessarily, I'm not going to begrudge you the 5 feet. So just say you moved to that square instead.
Okay. So do I see or notice anything with my divine sense? First of all.
You do. Let me see something. So you get something vaguely in this direction. Oops, I'm on the roller tool. Vaguely over in this direction, you feel like there are two undead creatures. You feel like there are several undead over in this direction. This zombie is clearly undead. And you also get, just like when you used this once before in the brewery, you get a weird sense of almost duality. But it's coming from you. Initially, you look around thinking, well, at least Brewer's back again. But it's actually coming from the direction of Lady Amphilis on the other side of the tree.
Interesting. How does the dryad look?
She appears to be what you would guess. She's corrupted, but she's not undead. She's a living being.
But does it appear to be injured at all?
Oh, she definitely looks like she's probably going to die soon.
Okay.
She mostly looks burned more than anything else, though.
So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to cast Shield of Faith.
Okay. Does that have a range at 60?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it'll be my turn.
Okay, Hellweir.
Let's fire the bow.
At the zombie?
Yeah, zombie. Yep, sorry.
So you fire your arrow, and it very clearly just hits a coating of this peat moss on the outside of it and digs into it, but does nothing to the zombie.
Okay. That's me.
Okay. The panicky dryad once again ineffectively swings her staff down on the zombie, but does nothing. Zarius.
Let's see here. I'll select me. I don't know. So trying to get 30 feet here. I guess there. If I go there, still not quite. Damn it. All right. Well, where was it again? There. And then double check the range on some of these spells. I don't remember it. I'm not used to using this. I might go ahead and use that. I'm going to use I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt on the zombie here. Confirm the level of this spell. I think it's his first one. Yeah. Guiding Bolt, first level.
That hits. So what else does it do other than damage?
Guiding Bolt gives the next attack against it an advantage.
Yeah.
The next attack roll.
So does your magic have any particular color associated with it?
Probably grayish.
So this grayish bolt of light, whatever that looks like, streaks out
like a dull light. Not
right.
It doesn't beam like normal, but
it's not like the deadlights.
And it slams into this walking corpse that's attacking the dryad, leaving a faint trail behind it that somebody's attack can hone in on.
Yeah.
Let's see. And next to Lusharosi, who's helpfully moved up, out of nowhere you see two of these orbs just appear and attempt to pass through you. Neither of them doing very well.
Lusharosi's just too fast. He's like, "Fah! Spin move!"
And the haunt slams its fist down on top of the dryad. And you see she just vanishes into the water.
Even with the Shield of Faith?
Yeah, he made it through there. She does not have a good armor class.
Damn. I tried. God damn it.
And then it surprisingly quickly, given that it has to move through this water, just makes its way over. That stops there. Lady and Phyllis shouts out, "We have to get out of here immediately. This place it's cursed. Everyone run. Leave them. Leave these things to their fate." And she starts moving away.
You're going the wrong direction.
The fact that it's cursed is exactly why we are here. By the light of Lusharosi, I shall cleanse this place.
This place is unholy. Leave it.
So is the temple.
And Elise actually moves forward a bit, hearing that. Lusharosi's turn.
All right. So, how is this dryad looking?
The other dryad that you can see is also not looking really good, but she is only fighting one of the glowing orbs, as far as you can see.
All right.
That's true. I forgot. This orb would have started flying down too, and probably would have made it to about there.
So let's see. There. All right. I'm just spending spells like crazy. So I'm gonna use my action to move that space right there. And then
Well, before you do, they get 2 attacks of opportunity.
yeah,
Oh boy.
neither hit.
Yeah.
Spin
Okay.
move, spin move. Actually, one of them I just jump over. Can I use an action point to get a little bit more movement and get over there?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, all right. So I can get within melee range then. There.
Yeah, sure.
And then Lusharosi will then roar at the will-o'-the-wisp. The glorious roar.
Make an intimidation check.
Oh boy.
Meow.
It's just the Lusharosi. Roar!
The call of my people. Shut up.
You yell out and you kind of show.
You do your best.
Rorbin.
I mean, you do have like a lion-like face, so you do your best cowardly lion impression. Put him up! Put him up!
I just watched that the other day.
Did you watch it like on like the Blu-ray
Yeah.
so you can see the gun?
I don't remember seeing a gun. When was this?
The Tin Man has a gun. It's in the
Okay.
book. It's in the book too. For some reason, oh no, I think actually I'm wrong. I think it's the Scarecrow had the gun. But there is a scene where you could see they're like frightened and walking through the forest, and he's pointing the gun.
I do remember that. Yeah. Mhm. Trying to go rescue. Was that whenever they were going to rescue Dorothy, or were they
Yeah.
going to? Yeah. I remember it. All right.
So Hellweir's turn.
Okay, so the will-o'-wisp which is approaching, he's going to try and hit with his bow.
Okay.
Oh, whoops, wrong button. What? Oh, I was clicking the fucking equipment and not the attack.
So you fire an arrow, it passes right through the center of it, but you can't tell if it did anything to it. It appears to be incorporeal. It is just a ball of light.
Yeah, I did my job. That's me.
The other dryad she has a club and swings it down, but it also just passes through the ball of light in front of her and splashes into the water, doing seemingly nothing. Darius.
Alrighty. Let's see. Just checking some stuff I can do here.
And now that you're up further, I think Lusharosi can see. Yeah, you can see on the other side of the tree, there's another zombie, 2 more dryads, and 2 more of these will-o'-the-wisps.
Okay. I'm gonna go here. And then I am gonna just double check what this one does right quick before I dedicate to this. Nobody's hit this zombie yet, right?
The one that's right in front of you has been hit a lot. In fact, nobody's attacked it. Nobody's attacked it since your guiding bolt, so you still have advantage.
Okay. Well then, that slightly changes what I'll do then. Well, actually, these are both saving throws. Fuck. All right. Spiritual weapon. I shall cast and place it right in. I don't know how to ping.
I think you hold the left click down.
Yeah, just hold the left click down.
I'll put my thingy right there. My spiritual weapon. It takes the form of a scythe. Jesus. Fucking. Apparently I rolled shit too. $11 to try and hit it, I guess.
Yeah, you dig into it, but the blade barely penetrates through the mossy, woody outer covering that's growing out of its skin.
It's so annoying. But it's still there at least. So that's
your bonus action.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm gonna. And yeah, so it takes the form of a scythe. Whenever it swings, you swear, just for the briefest of moments, it looks like a hooded figure is holding the scythe as it swings through. Only for the briefest of moments. But then I'm gonna go ahead and just, yeah. Well, I'm gonna fucking turn undead.
Okay. So what's the they have to make a wisdom save? What's the DC?
Probably that 15 again. And if they are of a CR of 1/2, they're destroyed. If they fail.
Doesn't look like it did.
That guy didn't.
Yeah, that guy didn't. They're all above CR 1/2, so we won't be destroyed.
All right. Fucking.
Damn.
Fuck off, Will-O-Wisp.
The range
Damn.
is the date
30
range is 30
feet, I believe.
All right, so one more. There you go. The one furthest from you is terrified.
Okay. He's just gonna, for a minute or something like that, he's just gonna run away for as far as he can go.
I'm just looking for a good symbol. I was going to use that symbol. Good enough. So you can sense that the one that's off to your side and a little bit behind you is going to run, but the others have withstood your power.
Them bastards.
Are you doing anything else?
Action, bonus action, and I moved, so that's it.
Okay. T-hole.
I'm going to make my way here, so
did he freeze? Oh no, sorry.
No, sorry. And then I'm going to cast. So if something's frightened, does an attack shake it out of its frightened state?
No. Not usually. If you look, you should have there should be up along the left-hand side near the top. You should have a conditions button.
Yes.
That I added, so you can just look up frightened when these things come up.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. So I'm Teal's gonna cast Magic Missile at this Will-O-Wisp.
Okay. Roll damage.
Full damage. Oh, almost.
So as these 3 missiles of force leave your fingertips, they slam into this ball of light that, although it's incorporeal and there doesn't seem to be any substance to it, all 3 of them seem to rocket out of its position in the air a bit, and it begins to flicker wildly.
Booyah! Says Teal. And that'll be his turn.
Okay. So the Will-O-Wisp damaged ignores you.
Whoa.
And it just shoots off, moving about 100 feet.
Oh, you hit that one? That probably does actually break his frightening, because it's not like a normal frighten.
Oh, does attacking it turn it off?
Yeah. For turn undead, I'm pretty sure. It's here. Let me double check. I'm not. Maybe not. Okay. Okay. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I was just going to let it run off anyway. Because it already has. So the other Will-O-Wisps. None near him. I guess they're going to gang up on... These 2 here at the bottom are going to gang up on Zarius. Because he's nearby.
Sure.
But they're not doing so good today.
Nope, that didn't hit.
The one up next to Lusharosi is going to continue to attack the Will-O-Wisp. Also not so good.
A Dryad.
Yeah. Yeah, attack the Dryad. One finally hit. And you hear a scream from the far side of the tree as only Lusharosi sees that the Will-O-Wisp has passed through one of them, and she is... lightning shoots from the water up into her face, dropping her.
Fire out.
And then this haunt starts heading over, and it's going to attack the Will-O-Wisp next to Lusharosi, the zombie type creature.
Wait, the haunt is attacking the Will-O-Wisp?
No. The haunt that was up near you, up here, has left the Will-O-Wisp it was attacking, although I guess she gets an attack of opportunity. Oh, she hit. I thought she was going to miss.
Don't.
Wait a minute. Oh, is it the haunt that is attacking?
Yeah, it's called a putrid haunt. It's not actually a zombie.
But it's attacking the Will-O-Wisp?
No, I'm sorry. It attacked the other Dryad. The one that you're standing next to now.
Okay, yeah.
Gotta have that sentinel, man.
And then the haunt that was down near Zarius is going to come down, and it sort of seems like it's lurching back a little bit, and then it just vomits out this putrid green bile onto you.
Sure.
And you see there are 4 black leeches that land on you, each doing 1 point of necrotic damage and just burrowing into your flesh. So you take 4 necrotic damage, and you've got these things attached to your scales.
Oh god, it's the pickle disease, the pickled fingers. They're back. They're back.
So 4.
Yeah. And T-Hole and Hellweird, give me an insight check.
Insight. I'm good at that.
BRB.
Yeah, very insightful.
Yeah, you got the sense when you moved forward, like diagonally in that direction you did, Lady Amphilis, who was just yelling for everyone to run away, she did not like that. So she comes moving over to you.
Okay.
And she, with her sword in hand, just starts laying into you.
Whoa! Whoa!
Ouch.
What the flip?
So
19 slashing damage.
Oh my god!
that bitch.
Yeah.
Alec Brewer yells out when he sees this and starts moving up, but he's not exactly sure what to do about it. Elise also starts running over in that direction and runs up and is sort of standing right next to Lady Amphilis. She doesn't look entirely shocked, though. She has kind of a faraway stare in her eyes again.
Now watch out, man. You're
Lusharosi's turn.
gonna get hit too.
Holy shit! He said he'd be right back. Oh, he is back.
Lusharosi bursts into blinding light as I activate my Radiant Soul ability as a bonus action. So for the next minute, I have a fly speed, and on each of my turns, I deal extra radiant damage to one target when I deal damage to it with an attack or a spell, which equals my level. So then with my next 2 attacks, I am going to do 1 attack at the haunt, and then another attack at the Will-o'-the-Wisp.
Whoa.
Both hit.
Oh, 1 is a critical.
Yep.
Nice. All right, so the critical is against the Will-o'-the-Wisp. And against the haunt, I'm going to spend a first level spell to do. So I'm doing, first of all, I'm doing the radiant damage. Well, wait, the Will-o'-the-Wisp died?
Yes, the Will-o'-the-Wisp died under
All right,
the
so the
onslaught.
radiant damage is against the haunt. So the haunt takes an additional 6 radiant damage. And then I'm going to do a divine smite, and since it is undead, correct?
Yep.
Additional 13 radiant damage to the haunt.
You slam into it. You get the sense that the physical damage could not completely shrug off, but it was less affected by. But everything else you've been doing has just been tearing into it.
Excellent. And then, so that would be my turn, but I would like to use an action point to cast Spiritual Weapon. Can I do that?
Yep.
All right, so then that's my last action point for the session.
What does your spiritual weapon look like, and where is it going?
So my spiritual weapon actually a piece of the glow from Lusharosi slides down his body along the ground and then forms up right here. No, wait, right there. Yes, right there. And forms up and is kind of a ghostly double of Lusharosi. And that is going to attack this Will-o'-the-Wisp. So if a 21 hits, it'll do 5 force damage.
Yours swung a lot better than mine.
So which will-o'-the-wisp are you aiming at?
This one.
So yeah, it seems to knock it from the sky briefly, but it floats back up almost immediately.
Okay. And then that is my turn.
Hellware.
So Hellware sees Lady Amphilis go a little feral, and he runs over there and like grapples her. So I have to do a strength.
Yep.
So
Tackle grapple.
yeah,
It's the latest
Just
special
say,
from
just
Tackle
say
Bell.
rugby tackle. Just say rugby tackle.
I do a rugby tackle.
Shoulder in the body into ground.
It's the-
I don't think I'm proficient at it, so that's why I didn't roll the normal thing. Well, I am proficient. I've got grapple odds, but I'm not sure if that makes me proficient.
Grappler just gives you advantage on attack rolls when you grapple them and the opportunity to pin them.
But
Yeah.
you've successfully grappled her.
Okay, cool.
She is a halfling after all, and you are a Goliath.
Yeah. She might be slippery, you know. And I'm not sure what else I can do. I think that uses an action, so
You don't
Yeah.
have extra attack yet, right?
no, not yet. No, I'm a level out.
So yeah, so you've grappled her, but that's your attack.
Yep. Alright, that's me.
So the two dryads, I have to remember not to call them will-o'-the-wisps. One will, first of all, the one next to Lusharosi attacks the putrid haunt next to her, but doesn't seem to affect it. And then the other one attacks the will-o'-the-wisp that's right next to her, and also fails to affect it. Sarius.
Alrighty. So first I'll have my spiritual scythe strike at the thingy again, right? The zombie guy.
Yep.
Hey, all right,
That's a hit.
cool. Looks like 6 there.
Yep.
And then, let's see, which one do I think will be better here?
And with your insight, you can see this zombie's close to dead, close to collapsing.
I shall toll the dead. DC is not 11, however, it is 15.
Is that wisdom?
Wisdom save, yeah.
It failed.
Nice. Looks like 11 damage.
And you just see as the bell rings and that sound is shooting through the air, the whole putrid haunt seems to just begin to decay in front of you and just falls apart, sliding into the mud.
Delightful. I think perhaps I'll use one of these action points to another action, perhaps.
Yep, you can.
I'd like to do Word of Radiance. Con save for those two remaining will-o'-wisps, DC 15. If they fail, they take 12 radiant.
Oh,
That
God.
fucker. Yeah, all right, that one failed. So 12 radiant damage to that one.
And you see the color of it changes so that it's much dimmer.
Mm-hmm.
but it does not die.
Cease your pointless resistance and fade into the night.
Staying where you are.
Yeah, I guess I'll probably turn myself. Yep, I'll stay there.
So T-Hole. Lady Amphilis is now grappled next to you by Hellweir, who's standing behind her. Elise Brewer has run up, but you can't really read her. She looks almost as if she's completely disinterested in what's going on.
Probably should have left them.
The other Will-o'-the-Wisp is just continuing to move off into the distance.
All right. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I'm just gonna go this way. Or so.
Good thing he had some AIDS.
Yeah, good thing that it always comes in handy.
I mean, I'm just going to say, although the grappled condition doesn't say it, that a grappled character can't make an attack of opportunity against you as you move. But
I was assuming that I couldn't because it would be restrained. But
it's not. Grappled and restrained are different conditions.
Yeah, but she does have disadvantage on attacks, so
okay.
No.
Yeah,
Well, did you knock her prone?
No, not yet. So she doesn't yet. There are things that can grapple and restrain you in one move, but grapple just means you basically have her by the arm, and so she can't run away, but she still technically has a free arm.
Hellweir, your next maneuver, you need to take the one that lets you do an attack and grapple.
Yeah.
But as you move away, Lady Amphilis yells, "You will not defile the site of my own one's grave!" And then, as she says that, Elise reaches out with her club and tries to bonk you on the head and hits.
Me?
Yes.
The one that apparently came over there to help you out.
Well, that was unclear. She didn't seem to really care. So you take 4 club damage as you run off. But you still have an action, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn and I'm gonna unleash upon Elise Brewer. I'm gonna cast a 2nd level magic missile.
And Hellweir, you would remember that the barbarian woman, the berserker that you were fighting the night before, she also said something about like for my own one.
Yeah. Yeah, Hellweir's just
that is so.
I'm gonna replace the I had not foresight, Fortin, and I had an 18 as one of my rolls, so I'm gonna replace that 5 with an 18.
What were you casting?
Magic missile.
So you don't have to roll to hit or anything like
that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Portent doesn't let you. It lets you replace a D20 roll. Not necessarily a damage roll.
I forgot that I thought the 5 was a D20.
So this was just you did 5 damage with the sort of initial casting. With I don't know, it should have rolled 3. What level magic missile were you casting?
2, 2nd level.
Oh, I see. You rolled a 1, a 4, and a 1 on the original casting, so that's the 9. And then you rolled a 4 on the second casting. So in what you did was 14 force damage to her.
So you did the perfect average.
Nice.
So what do your magic missiles look like?
They are like as they come out, they're kind of like a light blue, and you can almost tell like there's like an old man face in them. And like as they come near and they hit the their target, they'll go they "Argh, argh, argh."
So those three land, and she can almost hear them say, "Get off my lawn."
Cool.
And you can see blood trickles out of her nose after she gets hit with those.
And yeah, I think that'll be good.
Okay. So the two will-o'-the-wisps next to Zarius are going to try to shock him by flying through his body. I think they both missed.
Yeah, my AC is at 19.
Damn.
Damn you clerics in your heavy armor.
The two will-o'-the-wisps up near, well, I guess they'll both try to attack the dryad that's near them. Oh, that's the wrong button.
Oh shit!
Oh no!
I think that dryad's dying.
And you hear another scream as Lusharosi sees another dryad fall, and then the last can fly pretty far. He's just going to fly through him. He's actually going to attack Lusharosi. But
I duck.
the haunt next to Lusharosi. The haunt is just going to. It also leans back and then vomits up green bile onto you. Ooh. You have 8 of these. I forgot about the leeches. You have 8 of these black leeches that land on you.
Mm-hmm.
Finding little gaps in your armor. Their undead appendages reach through and start digging into your flesh. So you take 8 points of necrotic damage.
Okay.
And actually, and Zarius, you take another 3 from the leeches that are still on you.
Yeah.
If they cause any kind of disease, I'm immune.
Right, they don't.
So, okay. All right.
Pickle fingers.
Can I do any kind of check to determine what exactly is crawling into my body right now?
You can do.
Yeah, go to a doctor.
You could do a medicine check.
Is a natural 1 a hamster?
So you're 100% sure that while they're not alive, that these leeches have somehow been animated with some kind of necrotic energy, and they are physically just they're just biting into you and infusing their necrotic essence into you.
Oh, wait a minute. What? So how much damage did I take, and what kind was it?
8 necrotic.
All right, I'm resistant to necrotic.
Okay, then
Oh.
technically speaking, we'll say you take 4 necrotic.
Okay.
He just takes whiplash damage.
Right.
So good.
What is Lady Amphilis going to do? She's trapped. She's just going to try to beat on you with her sword. No, she does not do so well against Helweir. Alec, confused, runs up to here.
Oh, great.
Alec is going to run up and try to grab on. He doesn't have an action, so this is all just narrative. He tries to sort of shake some sense into his wife. who she just saw hit T-Hole. But she momentarily seems to lose the faraway look to glare at him and punches him.
So we know that's her normal self then.
Right. But then she brings the club down on him, and she manages to miss.
Ugh.
Somehow, old man Alec Brewer manages to dodge the club. Years of practice.
He slipped in mud. He just slipped in mud and happened to fall the right way.
Lusharosi's turn.
All right. So first thing I'm going to do is 2 attacks into the haunt.
Both hit.
All right. And then that first one is going to deal an additional 6 radiant damage to it. And then I'm going to save the spell slots. So that's first thing. And then my spiritual weapon is going to attack that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I suck at initiative rolls and skill checks, but I always score multiple crits.
So yeah, that is more than enough when you add in the crit damage to kill this thing off. It flickers for a second, but then seems to disperse like a mist.
Okay. So how is the haunt looking?
Give me an insight check. Well, what's your regular insight roll? It's better than +5.
It's a +5.
Yeah, so you can just automatically tell. It's probably close to its last legs. It might survive a hit, maybe.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and then that's my turn.
Hell, where?
I proceed to hogtie Lady Amphilis.
So give me another athletics check.
Okay.
I could hear Kurt wanted to say a hogtie check.
Well, you probably do it. So you managed to pin her. So now she is restrained.
Okay. I'm going to carry her towards the tree.
Okay, so you're at half movement, but you can drag her.
That's 15 feet, so...
But when you move, Elise tries to swing at you with her club.
She does.
Elise almost crits.
Is that
Would be a proud
is that
moment
just
for Elise.
one hit? 1 hit point?
Yes, you take 1 hit point of damage.
Oh, it just grunts.
Going to the club.
So are you doing anything else?
Oh yeah, I dragged her 15 feet, which is pretty much my full movement. So yeah, that's me done.
Okay. First of the Dryads is going to try to hit the putrid haunt with her shillelagh. Oh, and
Yes.
does it. Remember when I said it might survive 1 hit? It survived 1 hit.
Because that Dryad's super strong, guys.
It was a crit though.
I know. And it was the best shot she's ever probably going to take in her life.
Hopefully her life is more than the next few moments.
Yeah.
Darius' turn.
So, first thing I will do is move my spiritual weapon to attack Hold on. This guy?
Yep.
Let's roll here. Looks like 18 to hit for 10 force damage.
That actually, you pass right through it, but it doesn't seem harmed by that.
Interesting. Do I get the sense that I just missed? Or...
Yeah, you get the sense that it's because it's incorporeal, it was able to avoid.
Even with a 18. Damn,
Yeah.
all right.
Wait, does incorporeal block force damage?
No, but it gives it a pretty high armor class.
Okay.
Well then, I was wanting to do something else, but I guess I'll change that up. That was my bonus action. I will, let's see here. I shall toll its dead. DC 15 wisdom save, or take 10 damage there.
It failed.
Haha.
And you see, although it managed to survive the attack from the scythe, the bell tolls and it almost seems like it begins to evaporate from the top down, and then it's gone.
Yeah. I wondered how the bell ringing alarms anybody else, or if it does.
You're
Just-
kind of in the middle of nowhere, but who knows what's around.
Just after that, Lusharosi is going to shout, "What's going on down there? Could you use some help? You guys okay?"
And I'll probably move. I know I'll provoke, but that'll be fine. Move there. I think that was right. Yeah. Yeah. Move toward this dryad here. Is it still around? Like, is the body still there?
Yeah, the body is still there. She's just slumped over into the water.
Okay. Yeah. Fuck it. I'll use my other action. I don't know if it's gonna work, so I'll wait.
Ooh, are you going to either do Revivify or the what is that other one?
Well, I wasn't gonna use I wasn't gonna use like a spell slot spell. I have
What is that one called? The one that stabilizes?
the toll the or not yeah
Spare the dying.
spare the dying, yeah, and I could do it at a range because of my grave domain. I was gonna do that, but I don't know if that's gonna matter on these creatures. So because it's supposed to be on a creature with 0 hit points, it stabilizes them, but I think technically if they're dead, they're dead. So so I can wait because it's within a minute, so it hasn't
It's
quite.
not getting any deader.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would say this. If you want to use Spare the Dying, I usually just X things out because people don't care and the NPCs die.
Yeah.
But if you really want to try to save its life, I'll retroactively roll its death saves and see how it did.
on my next turn, I'll do it.
Let me just see then. Well, let me get rid of this. I'm going to whisper because you don't actually know if she's underwater. You don't know if she's alive or what.
Sure.
Okay.
I got a decent perception. I don't know if that matters.
Whisper, whisper, read all about it.
So, T-Hall, your turn.
So
You see, Lady Amphilis is now completely enveloped by Hellweir in a bear hug.
Is she risking drowning underneath the massive Goliath?
No, I just assume he's got her. I mean, he can try to pin her in the water, but then he'll be down prone as well. You want to be underwater? Trying to drown her?
Let's see who drowns first.
I'm gonna shoot a firebolt at this guy.
Okay.
Ooh.
That hits.
Nice.
Yeah,
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da.
so 21. Or, yeah, 23 rather.
Oh yeah.
So you see, it tries to zip out of the way, but is completely ineffective. There's no physical substance for it to burn, but you can see it has trouble reforming after the flames pass over it. But it does. It doesn't completely disperse. There's still a light hanging there.
Gotcha. So it still looks alive.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. That'll be it for me. Actually, I'm gonna move like this way. And then it's it for me.
Give me a perception check. So as you're stepping through the waters of the bog, you realize that right underneath your feet there is a slowly blackening body of an elf in a rusting chain shirt. It has the bow. It's got gripped in its hand. Looks as if the string has broken, and it's in the other hand. It's got a rusting sword. But it doesn't look as though it's like in a military unit or anything. It looks as if almost like it's just an adventurer or maybe like a militia men or something. And then looking around, you can see you're actually in a field. There are many more bodies directly over to the west of you. So like over in this direction.
Gotcha.
And in fact, you realize you were stepping on a body when you were over here. You just didn't notice it. And then as you take it all in, a will-o'-the-wisp comes over and tries to kill you. Oh, and there you do it.
Damn.
Oh.
And does 25 damage.
What the fuck?
25 damage. I only count 22.
The second 11 is wrong. It's actually, I'm sorry. It's not 25 damage. It's 27 damage. 16 plus 11.
Of course. So T-Hole has 0 hit points.
So as some of you watch, I don't know if I don't think Lusharosi might have line of sight, but you see this thing comes over and zips through the middle of him, and he goes bolt upright for a second as this force of lightning shoots through his body. And then almost like magic, he is gone. There is just a circle of waves in the water as his body goes underneath.
Once again, Lusharosi is going to yell, "What's going on down there? Could use some help."
This is just bubbles.
The other two will-o'-the-wisps up near Lusharosi are going to try. One's going to try to shock the Lusharosi, the other the Dryad. Lusharosi, the Dryad. So one misses the Dryad. The one going after Lusharosi does 23 lightning damage. This is their round.
Pussy. I'll take that and 3 others. Bring it, asshole. Says the light of Asheros. All right, so what was the total damage?
23. And the The zombie-like creature is just going to try to punch you, but it is ineffective. It barely touches your armor. Lady Amphilis is going to try to break out of this pin she's in.
She get?
She got a 19.
Oh, do I have to roll as well?
Yeah, roll an athletics check.
Oh, whoops, wrong one. Well, freaking out.
So she's going to use her movement to. I don't know if you had her pinned underwater or not, but she's.
I thought I tried hook tying her. Like I was going to tie her up in rope.
Yeah, that doesn't. You can try to restrain her. I would have let you tie her up and rope the next time, but you can't just tie her up. In any event, it would have been an athletics check to break free.
Yeah,
so
true. Yeah.
For either way, you could say you had her tied up, I guess.
Okay.
She just broke the rope
Just
to get out.
break out. All right, cool.
But she gets other. Well, no, that's multi-attack. So that's going to be her turn.
You did the athletics for the putrid haunt, though.
Oh, hers is probably better. Yeah, her athletics check is better than its.
Oh.
So. So she's going to try to move away. You can take an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, all right. I'll hit it with my two-hand sword.
That hits.
Oh, so close.
And she's now got both of her hands. She's staring at you, Hellweir, like she's considering coming back, but she's got both of her hands gripped around the hilt of her long sword again. Alec Brewer he's going to try to grapple his wife. This is not going to go well for him either way.
I'm still a little concerned about these dead bodies. Oh,
I have these set to whisper. He ineffectively attempts to grapple his wife. She then ignores him and runs up to Hellweir. For a brief second, you think maybe she's coming looking for help, but then she tries to club at you again and misses. Lusharosi's turn. First, you take 8 more leech damage.
8 or 4?
4 after your resistance.
Okay. So
you could probably pull them off, but they're in there pretty deep. You probably wouldn't get them all in one go. Technically, it is an action to remove 1d3 of the leeches each round.
Okay. What does a dryad's condition look like? Is she pretty healthy, or is she worn down and hurt?
She's about at half her hit points, but that's not many hit points. She could not have withstood the lightning damage you took last round. Even at full health, she couldn't have.
Okay. So I'm going to use my action to, let's see. Where is it? I'm going to use my action to use lay on hands on her. I have up to 30 hit points. What would it need to get her to full?
Like 12 or 11.
All right. So then I will do that. And then as my bonus action, I will send the what should we call it? Why can't I think? This guy, the spiritual weapon. That's it. I'll send it to this thing.
So it comes over. That hits.
Nice. All right.
So
And
your
then
spiritual self punches out at it, punching right through it. And the hue of it changes to a dimmer color, and it becomes flickers a bit more in the morning light.
okay. And then I'm also going to, if I can, try another roar to make sure that they're focusing on me rather than the dryad.
Okay.
So let's see if we can do better this time. Nope, not much. Meow meow.
So at least they're convinced that like someone forgot to put your water dish out.
Lusharosi then spits to the ground and is like, I let my actions speak for me.
Hellware.
So Hellware looks where T-Hole was, and he gives this concerned look at Zarius, and he's like, "Help him." Before Hellware just ignores what's her name, Brewer, the Brewer lady, and runs over to Lady Amphilis and tries to cleave her.
Not going to try to drag her off to the bedroom.
No,
that's your move.
Yeah, well, it's a bit far away. You can break the rope, so, and I'm fucking her up.
You just need to find a good peat moss bed. That's all.
Crit on her.
Yep.
Oh. Nice.
So you slam into her. Blood is gushing down her forehead at this point into one of her eyes, half blinding her.
Yeah, though I'm annoyed, I'm trying to make this as non-lethal as possible. With a two-hand sword. Oh yeah, I expected her to attack me because I just ran past her. But yeah, so she's still going at it, Lady Amphilis.
Actually, I was just doing the dryad to get it out of the way. But you're right. Technically, there'd be a club attack from.
Yeah.
But useless.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, she's still alive. You haven't killed her.
Okay. I'm gonna use action surge.
Was that Lady? Okay, never mind. Yeah.
To try and finish her off.
Finish her.
That hits.
Is she fucked up?
I mean, she is extremely fucked up. Like a lesser enemy, even though she's tiny, a lesser enemy you would have expected you would have killed her in those last two swings.
Yeah.
But she's on her feet still.
All right. Well, he does a final headbutt with his bonus action to see if he can knock her out. And then I have to roll like a D1. Don't have to, not a D1. Can't roll a D1.
Right.
But you know what I mean. So 6 damage with my strength.
So you attempt an unarmed strike on her, headbutting down, and you manage to connect against the bloody wound you just left in her head. But still, somehow, she manages to keep her feet. Maybe if she had just been a foot taller, you could have hammered her into the swamp.
I would just like to point out that she's like at knee height. How does one headbutt something at knee height? That's like if somebody's looking at you from behind, you're just blowing yourself.
I'm like trying to do a flying headbutt. Like I'm like diving at her.
Falling? You're just falling.
I'm just falling on her with my head.
So T-Hole, give me a death save.
Oh man.
That's one fail.
Actually, I'm gonna switch that with that 18.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one success then.
Also, T-Hole, death save, not dexterity save.
Oh, that's true.
I thought you said dex save.
No, death save.
Can you like roll that? Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, it
Yeah.
hovers. Yeah, cool.
Where do you roll the death saves?
Where it says success and failures, you just click on death save. Yeah.
All right. So now you replace it.
Okay. I still don't see it.
So next to
that
Right next to your hit dice.
Lusharosi.
Right next to hit dice.
Yeah, I
It says
see
successes
that.
and failures.
So
So
click
you
on
just
it.
click on death save.
I don't see anything that says death save.
Right under failures.
Yeah, I don't see anything that says death save.
Really?
Do
Really?
you see the box? Do you see the boxes next to success and failures?
Right below success and failures, I see attacks and spell casting.
You might have to
Wow.
expand it or something.
Right. I see. Maybe you do. I don't know how big the thing is. I see it on your sheet. Actually, looking at your sheet, it's hit dice 6, total 1, and then next to it it's a little box, and then next to it there's another box, death saves.
Okay, I think there's my alignment's off. There must be something with my sheet, as I see successes and failures, but the check boxes are all off.
Do you have yours popped out or in the screen?
I do have it popped out.
You might have to close it and open it back up again. I did have something like that with my features and traits place.
I'll just click your death save and see if you have to waste the 18 or use
You roll an
the
18.
So you don't have to use your portent just yet.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it should be my turn, yeah?
It's the Will-o'-the-Wisp's turn. Or did you get skipped?
Yeah, I got skipped there.
Okay. So yeah, it's your turn. You take 3 more leech damage.
Ow. I'll move down here. So that should be within 30 feet. My spiritual weapon, I'll move it 20 feet towards the fight up there to the north where Lusharosi is. It can only move so far. And then or actually, sorry, I would go here. And then I would do, let's see. Let's see what level I want to do this at. I guess I'll cast it at 2nd level. Cast Cure Wounds, 2nd level. Healing a total.
So you add your modifier to it?
It should be in there.
Doesn't look like it is.
No, weird. All right. And I'm not going to do that.
What's your modifier?
It should be a 4.
So it should be 16. So you wake up, you're in the murky water, face to face with this blackened elven corpse.
Yeah.
So okay, so given that, and you should have gone first anyway, T-Hole, you can actually take your turn.
Okay. I mean, I'm still out, right? So
No, you've been healed, so you are conscious again, but you're prone and underwater, kissing an elven corpse.
So do I have 1 hit point?
No.
16 hit points.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You're welcome.
So thank you. I'm gonna try to get up.
So that's half your movement.
I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna look at that will-o'-wisp, and cast a level 3 magic missile on it.
Okay.
Hey, Dustin, whatever link you posted, I need permission to access it.
Oh, that's weird.
It's a Google Drive.
All right, so it does 16 damage.
It turns red briefly when it sees Zarius cure you, but the blue streaks of light hit it from your magic missile, causing it to turn briefly purple before it just vanishes.
As it vanishes, you hear an almost a corporeal sound of "Get off my lawn."
Boo, you millennials!
And then let's see. Where's Elise Brewer? Is she right here?
Yes, that's Elise Brewer.
So I'm gonna use an action point to hit a firebolt at Elise Brewer.
Okay.
Leave her.
Because you're shooting through, like, past Hellweir, she has a little bit of cover, so you miss.
Fair enough.
And you hear, like, as soon as this ray of fire shoots across the sky past Hellweir in the direction of his wife, she says nothing, but Alex says, "Hey, that's my wife."
Your wife's a loony. Says the man trying to shoot fireballs at her. That's my turn.
So the Will-O-Wisps are going to try to gang up on and Lusharosi.
Bring it,
He clearly is the threat here.
Miss, bitches.
But neither can
Duck,
get
duck,
past him.
dodge. Too fast for you. Oh, just whizzed by my main.
And the Haunt is going to attempt to punch him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you thought you were so cool, and then you get punched in the face.
Too much celebrating in the end zone gets punched in the face.
So is that just a flat 7, or is there something else in there?
It's just 7.
All right. I am at the lowest amount of hit points I've ever been so far.
Lady Amphilis is going to try to kill off this barbarian. Again, screaming, "No one will defile the corpse of Zaxab."
I think there's 2 hits in there. So 9 hit points.
Yep.
Wait, your AC is less than a 16?
It is 16. 16 is the number she needs to hit.
What kind of armor are you wearing?
Like, I think it's chain something. It's just garbage.
Well, I'm glad you recognize it.
He's also not raging, which is the usual barbarian way of avoiding damage.
I'm only wearing chainmail.
Raging, dude?
Also, I'm not a barbarian. I'm a fighter.
Okay, I thought you were a barbarian. My mistake.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm
no,
a shitty.
you fought the barbarian.
I'm a shitty champion.
Maybe he took in some of her power, and now he can rage. That's what they were doing in the bedroom.
Yeah, we're raging.
So much raging.
And then you come in and smite her, and it's all over.
So she's actually pretty deft with her longsword. You can see enough that she can make 3 attacks with it in a round. 2 of them slicing into your armor getting past your protection and digging into your flesh. And then she just stands there glaring at you. She's not running anymore.
Wow.
Alec Brewer is he moves like between his wife and T-Hole with his hands up, like he's ready, like a goalie ready to block fire. I guess is what he's thinking he's going to block. And Elise just clubs him. But luckily, he has temporary hit points.
Oh, good. He's got the 8s.
Yeah, so he's not going down this round. But he does get conked in the head pretty good. Lusharosi.
All right. So first thing I'm gonna do is an attack into the haunt.
Oh.
That is not a hit. Unsurprising.
All right. So then I'll do one more attack into the haunt.
So you slam your fist into the jaw of the haunt, and it's in the entirety of its head separates from its body and goes spinning off with a splash and a splunk into the swamp.
Oh yeah, for Tony's benefit, my weapons are my hands just grow really big and massive, and one is thoughts and the other is prayers. So, all right, awesome.
The body tumbles backwards into the swamp and submerges.
And then I will use
also,
my...
but the leeches are still on you, so you still take another 4 damage.
Okay. And then I'm going to use my bonus action to move my spiritual weapon right there and attack that will-o'-the-wisp.
Okay. So your will-o'-the-wisp puncher, your spiritual weapon punches at the will-o'-the-wisp, but the will-o'-the-wisp is very agile and is able to spin around its fist.
That's my turn.
Hellware.
So with a annoyed yell, he attacks the little midget he's been fighting.
Okay.
And does that knock her out?
Yes, you can either kill her or choose to knock her unconscious.
Kill
Killer.
Yeah, she did start on T-Hole. Yeah, I think I'd be angry enough to kill her.
She hits defenseless old men while they're unaware.
I mean, so does Hellware.
And then Hellware then moves over to Elise Brewer and goes to punch her in the face.
Okay, roll to hit. That hits. Luckily for her, she has all these extra temporary hit points.
Yeah.
So you whittle through this protection that Lusharosi has placed around her and hurt her a little bit.
Yeah,
but
like
it's not,
shake my fist. I'm like, what the fuck?
but you can feel there is like a spiritual pressure holding your fist back, and you just sort of barely glance off her chin.
I love it when you see two different, like one person hits all this, and then another person just like.
So you see the dryad sort of steps back into the tree, like physically inside it, and then you see she reappears over here.
Cool.
And then she moves down this way a bit.
Oh.
Moving in the direction of Zarius and T-Hole.
Wait, what's that? Is that another haunt?
No, it's the
that's-
dryad.
It's the dryad who was standing next to you. She retreated into a tree and then zapped over here and then moved away.
Oh, good.
So Zarius' turn.
Alrighty. I call out to friggin' Hellweir and I guess to T-Hole just in case. And say, leave them. They cannot hurt us.
Hellweir's like, I want to hurt them though.
Alright. Move 30 feet here, and I shall do my spare the dying on this little person here. See if they're alive.
Let me see. Do another. So you cast Spare the Dying. Give me a medicine check.
Sure.
You think you saved her. You think she's alive.
I think
Wait.
so. Okay.
Well, I mean, she is looking at her. When you first find her, she almost looks like she's made of wood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little difficult to tell. But as you cast the spell, the wood of her flesh begins to soften, and it begins to feel more like skin again.
Okay.
But she's still unconscious.
Sure. Do I? Is she like in the water to where she could drown?
She is underwater. So, does she need air? Who knows?
All right. Well, then I guess I can kind of prop her up
Yeah, you can do that.
and look over to this other one that came out.
Yep.
Like indicating, like, come on, come here.
She looks over at you. You think she understands you want her to come over.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Lusharosi yells, "Still fighting up here!
And then
What is going on?"
move my scythe a little bit closer. All right. That's it for me.
So yeah, Lusharosi, you can see very slowly, 20 feet per round. There is a scythe of force slowly edging its way up to you.
It might be a little bit frightening if you've never seen it before. I don't know how often I use it, but because again, every once in a while, it kind of looks like it fading just very briefly in and out of view. Sometimes is a hooded figure holding the scythe.
Yeah, Lusharosi is a little concerned.
That it's not coming fast enough.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not really worried about these will-o'-wisps. I keep ducking and dodging them. Okay. Famous last words.
But when they do hit,
Oh god, they hit. Yeah.
so T-hole.
Teal's gonna attack this will-o'-wisp with a firebolt.
Which one? I didn't see which one you say triggered.
The one all the way to the lower right.
Okay. That hit.
Nice.
I'll take it.
You see the fire. The fire is absorbed by it, and it turns red, and it looks a little less bright as the fire fades from it. But you don't think maybe fire did as much damage as you were hoping.
Meanwhile, Lusharosi throws his fist into the air and yells, "Ha ha! I have aid!"
AIDS for all.
Are you going to move?
I did move.
Okay. So the will-o'-the-wisps are going to attack Lusharosi again.
Duck and dodge, boom, boom, boom.
But you do manage to successfully duck and dodge. And the haunt is going to attempt to punch you again.
I thought the haunt is dead.
Oh, did he kill it?
I knocked its head off.
Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
didn't put the X on it. And I didn't reduce its hit points to 0. Lady Amphilis is also dead. Alec is still positioning himself between T-Hole and his wife.
Didn't he just see me punch her in the face?
Oh, that's true. So Alec is gonna. You see, he like looks down at his hand and the club he's holding, and then he looks up at you, and he half-heartedly, with disadvantage, tries to club you, getting a 3.
Oh, good. Because
So
he would have
does
hit
not-
otherwise.
He does not hit, but he doesn't know what really to do. And Elise's turn. Let me see what she does. She's going to club at her husband.
Oh, okay.
And you hear a sickening crack as she brings it down on his head
Oh,
as
God.
he slumps over.
Yeah. That's a paddling.
Fucking Jesus, man.
Lusharosi's turn.
All right. Going to do 2 punches. Well, first. My first punch is going to be against this guy.
Whoa.
Damn it. All right. Second punch is going to be against him.
Oof. Brutal.
It dodges around both of your punches.
Now, do I want to... Yeah, I'm going to do a force damage one. All right. And then the bonus action will be to use spiritual weapon. All right. So that's 6 force damage, and on top of it, 6 radiant damage.
Okay, so as you throw one punch and it doesn't connect as the thing moves, and you throw a second, which it dodges as well, but you actually make it dodge into the path of the punch from the spiritual weapon, and then manage to catch it, and the two of you basically fist bump right in the middle with this thing in the middle as you crush it out of existence.
Does anybody remember the Marvel vs. Capcom with Morgan and Lilith just sat shadow boxing in between the opponent? That's what I'm imagining. Except sex here.
Hellware.
He just sees the husband fall over, and he looks into Elise Brewer's eyes and just sees if she's still like airy fairy. Is she still there?
She seems sort of checked out. Like she looks like she's aware of her surroundings and is thinking about what to do, but she doesn't seem to be betraying any sort of emotion.
All right, I punch her in the face.
Damn.
So do you want to leave her alive or no?
It'd be really cool to punch someone to death, but I think I'll knock her out.
So she goes unconscious and falls into the water.
Which is basically dead. If nobody gets her.
And Petrie, not Petrie, fucking Hellway, goes back over to Lady Amphilis's body and starts looting her, and then notices that she's got similarly familiar ears to an elf and starts cutting them off.
Okay. So you now have a pair of halfling ears.
Yeah, they go in the elf sack.
The sadly still empty elf sack.
Yeah, it's being filled up again.
Replenished is a better term. Or refueled.
Thank God Lusharosi's not around to see this.
The dryad comes over and begins to tend to her friend. Zarius' turn.
Alrighty. Let's see here. 10, 20, 30. One more will-o-wisp. I shall toll the dead. DC 15 wisdom, or take 15 damage.
That's a lot.
A nice little roll there.
Yeah. Damn.
That's a nice little roll there.
Creep my scythe forward a little bit. And that was a move, action, bonus action. That's my turn.
Yo.
Teal is going to cast another level 2 magic missile at the remaining will-o-wisp.
Okay, roll damage.
$13.
And as they whistle through the air and slam into it, it also fades out of existence, evaporating like a mist.
You faintly hear it get off my lawn. I'm not sure where it came from, but you hear it.
What?
And one of the dryads, the one who's still conscious, says, "Thank you so much. I don't know what we would have done."
Yeah, I'm not sure what we would have done either. Why did they attack you?
Well,
Lusharosi is going to move over and be like, what by Ashros has happened here? And then he's gonna see Alec and see if there's any way that he can revive him.
Let me see.
So while he's distracted, Helwe is going to walk over to the bodies, which are just laying in the bog, and starts harvesting their ears, knowing that they're elves.
Yeah, a lot of them are decayed to the point where they're not really recognizable as ears so much anymore, but you can collect several. They're all kind of strongly smelling of acid, almost like a vinegary smell.
Yeah, that's fine.
At that point, I'm going to yell out to the group, be careful, guys. Out to the west, there's some kind of necromantic corruption.
I wouldn't go that far.
But you can see, like, over here, there are even more bodies laying underneath the water.
Yeah, I was told not to go out too far.
So, Lusharosi, give me a medicine check.
I can assist.
Well, okay, is the medicine check to stabilize?
To see if he's alive or dead.
Okay.
You're pretty sure he's dead. He had an unfortunate natural one. I don't mean to baffle you with this medical terminology, but yeah, natural one.
Okay. And then I look over to the group and ask, what happened to Lady Amphilis?
Well, she attacked T-Hall.
Where are her ears? Hellware, what have you done?
It was a part of my fighting. I cut her ears off. And then you see him like tighten the pouch.
This woman was no elf.
Yes, why would I collect her ears?
And what of Elise? What happened to her?
Well, she got mouthy, so I punched her in the face. Also, she hit me with a club a couple times.
So she changed again.
see-
And then he's going to check to make sure that she's still alive.
As
She
you
doesn't know.
as you go up to her, you see there are a few bubbles coming up as she's inhaling water.
All right, so I'm going to lift her up out of the water.
I mean, she seems like she's alive, but she's going to be unconscious for a while.
Okay. And then I look to the others. So she attacked.
Yes, she was yelling about for the fallen or some garbage.
Fallen. We've heard that before, haven't we?
Yes, the barbarian woman from last night.
As things start to settle down, you notice the glowing wings of energy begin to fade, and the light from within Lusharosi begin to dim as he returns to normal, and the grime of the swamp begins to be revealed upon his having soiled his armor and everything, whereas before he seemed pristine. Does anybody have any rope? I think it would be best if we make sure that she's restrained.
Oh yes, there should be some near the tree. Thank you, by the way. But yeah, Helwia would relay what the DM just said.
I wasn't sure if Helweir would actually have just said something about the fallen and then moved on. Like
I think he would have, but I think if he was asked specifics, he would have said that.
like Ash in Army of Darkness, I basically said the words.
All right. So is there rope around anywhere?
Yeah.
There is
should be.
there is the rope that Lady Amphilis was briefly hogtied in.
All right. So I'll try and tie her up and then place her somewhere where she'll keep her head above water.
So you find a relatively shallow part and near the tree and brace her up against the trunk of the tree so she won't fall over.
And then I will approach the dryads and ask them, please, what is it that just took place here?
Well, we came over here because we could sense that we knew that there had been a battle here before, but apparently the spirits of the dead grew restless and they had begun to rise up, mostly as these will-o'-the-wisps. They were leading people from outside the swamp deeper in where they could kill them. It seems as if some of the bodies rose up too. The main battle was a little further to the west, not that far from here. But we really just came to see how many of them there were when they rose up out of the swamp unexpectedly and overwhelmed us. They could have very easily killed us if you hadn't come when you did. We held them off for a while, but we just couldn't get away from there. They were so fast.
Where do you live? Where are your abodes?
Many of the trees in this swamp are sacred to us, and we can live inside any of them. What brings you in this far into the swamp?
You're looking for a temple.
No.
Well, but when I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's a place where there are many dolls, and after our encounter with the dolls, I began to hear some sort of call that led us here.
Well, I don't necessarily know about the call. I know the dolls. That area of the swamp is haunted by a very troubled little girl, and she animates the dolls as her playthings. She has been here for so long, it's easier to avoid that section of the swamp because there are many of her moving dolls there to trouble us. She leaves us alone for the most part. The dolls are not very fast, and we can skip between trees faster than they can move to catch and bite us.
Do we still feel that call, like, still to the north?
Yeah, has that changed
It's
at all?
actually now mostly to the west, and you get the sense you're probably within 100, 120 feet of it. It's very close. In fact, it's in the direction of all of these bodies.
Seems like
Lusharosi's gonna move out in that direction then.
It'll be very difficult for you to reach that temple. There's been a lot of strange things moving around the swamps. And then there are the creatures that normally live here that don't like things penetrating that deep into the saltwater swamp.
Yes. What do you know about the Quagoths?
What are Quagoths?
Those white creatures. Probably not so white.
Well, we've definitely seen those around. They seem to hunt mostly humanoids in the swamp. Anybody passing through the roads or through the swamp itself, although it's mostly through the roads, they did take many of the people from that settlement on the mud mound, Bogtown, I think they call it, carried them off towards the temple, into the temple. Then those people came out again, and they were kidnapping people along the roads.
Well, we will need to investigate this temple then. What other dangers lurk between here and there?
There is a Banderhob who lurks in the swamp. He will attack almost anything alive for the meat. This is what he lives on. There are
Banderhob?
Yes. I've heard of one of these before. The giant frog.
They're very similar to giant frogs on two legs, but they're smart and they can teleport between shadows, which makes them very difficult. There are also saltwater crocodiles, although they're not so active this time of year, so you might get lucky and not run into those. In certain parts of the swamp, there are hot springs, and the crocodiles usually winter there. If you get to a spot where the water starts to get warm, I would move away. You're probably not all that close to the temple if you're in the hot water part of the swamp.
And what of this Banderhog? Where does it lurk so that we might avoid it?
Well, its lair is, at least as near as we can pin it down, is probably somewhat near the temple, but it's not that close. So, like I said, it hunts anything that moves in the swamp, and it moves between shadows. It doesn't stay in one place. I don't even think it uses its lair much other than to drag bodies and let them rot before it eats them.
So it would just be best to be cautious as we move.
Yes. I would say it's mostly to the eastern side of the temple itself. So you'll probably be able to avoid it. But there are tribes of lizard men, most of whom I think have been dragged into the temple themselves at this point. They patrol the swamps as they always have. They used to be fairly passive about just watching things pass by, but now, along with their Quagoth masters, they will frequently try to abduct people.
Well, that is good to know.
There are shambling mounds also that roam the swamps, although we can probably try to lead those away and keep them out of your path. They'll listen to us at least.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Is it safe to rest here? I believe that some of us are rather injured.
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't know how fast undead rise. There are a lot more bodies than there are undead that I've seen. So could other undead rise from their bodies? It's not really something I would be expert in.
At that point, I'm going to move closer to the source of the calling. Yes, it's over here somewhere. I can sense something.
So when you get to about here, where's Lusharosi? When you get right to about there, you and Zarius, you do see ahead of you there are more and more bodies submerged under the water. And for a moment, the feeling of anger had sort of passed, And you think maybe from the sense of it that it may have been reacting to the presence of all these undead rising up.
Mm-hmm.
And once it did pass, once the undead, I guess, got far enough away, the anger diminished a bit, and you felt the despair slowly sort of creep back in. And for a moment, you feel it lift, like right as you almost together step across a line, almost. For a fraction of a second, you feel it transforms into a sense of just joy, which feels inexplicably, to at least to Lusharosi, it feels holy to you. It feels almost like a holy or sacred sense of joy. To Zarius, it feels kind of like a corrupted sense of joy.
Okay.
But almost as soon as you feel that sense of joy wash over you, it just seems like it ends and all of the feeling drains out of you and goes dead. For the first time in probably a day for Lusharosi, you are left alone with your own emotions. Then suddenly, at the same instant, about 60 feet in front of you, there's a twinkling below the waters that erupts into just a pillar of bright white light shooting up from the surface and suffusing through the water. It looks like it's probably coming from a few feet down, like 4 or 5 feet down. As your eyes are adjusting, you can see that there is some central source, and it appears as though it's coming up from two bodies that appear to be intertwined in that spot.
Lusharosi is curious and would go and investigate. Also, can I make a religion check to see if I can understand more of what's going on specifically?
You'll figure it out. I don't know that this would be a religion check necessarily.
Okay.
But as you get closer, you can see more clearly that there are these two bodies. So you're stepping over body after body, though, some of which you see are Quaggoth, but there are also a few naked, rag-wearing Kuatoa, several disc-like creatures with tentacles and eye stalks that are just submerged into the water. And
the flumps.
as you step, they're so light that they almost seem like they float away. There are these gray-skinned humanoids that you can't immediately identify, along with many elves and one human and several half-elves. When you get closer, you can see that what is the source of the light is there's an elven woman in fine chain armor, the only armor you've seen that isn't rusted. She is holding in her hands a very somewhat oversized morning star that appears to be made of it's either blackened or made of some sort of black metal, but it's etched into it are patterns of gold. And the gold doesn't look tarnished at all, or even dirty or covered in dirt. The spike from the morning star is buried into the head of another creature that definitely is not human. It's a almost white, everyone else's skin having turned black, this one creature's almost white. 4 tentacles wave from its lower face, seeming like they're wrapping around the head of this elven woman who died here. One of them appears to have pierced into the side of her skull and is stuck there. So it seems as if she died in the grips of this thing, but also managed to drive the spike from this morning star into the side of the skull of this creature that wrapped its tentacles around her as she died, falling, both of them in this mutual deadly embrace and sinking into the preserving waters of this peat bog. The morning star itself is clearly the source of the light and flares with light as bright as the sun as you get closer. The water around it beginning to twinkle like it's filled with stars.
So Lusharosi becomes very he's curious about this for sure, but definitely is also he knows how disturbing corpses can have greater impacts, and so he's worried that he doesn't want to trigger anything.
I mean, you would also be aware. Again, a long time ago this session, but there was talk about an elven militia group that disappeared in the swamps. That was at the very beginning of the disappearance of all the elves.
Yes.
And I would say there, because particularly given the history of the world, is very clearly this elven woman in her shining armor, very clearly is in a grip with a mind flayer.
Yeah. So Lusharosi definitely wants to try and rid this area of the desecration that has clearly taken place. Obviously, this is too many bodies to properly move and bury. Is Lusharosi aware or capable of doing any kind of sacrament in Asheros's name to try and help these people find their way to their afterlife?
I mean, I would let you. The bodies are pretty spread out. If you move the bodies into a central location, I would certainly let you do like ritually cast the burial ceremony spell on all of them at once.
Okay.
So that's an hour and 10 minutes to cast it.
So I would ask for everybody's help. I would say, look, there are many bodies here, and this is clearly a profane place. And if we do not take care of this now, then it's likely that the problem will only increase. And especially if there's any hope of helping restore Bogtown or Alkitor, we must take care of this now. Would you guys help me move these bodies so that we can consecrate this place and help these people find rest?
Yeah, and anybody who wants to, by the way, can now make a history or religion check. Although I would say, Hellweir, you've seen this Morning Star before.
Oh. So I've seen it before.
You've seen it when you were possessed by Triandal, Chieftain Triandal.
Oh, right. Yeah, Triandal. Yep.
This is something that he stole from the elves and brought here, and you got the sense that he was hiding it in Alkitor.
I think we must. So I've seen the Morning Star, so I can see it now. So the Morning Star, I think we have to deliver it back to the temple.
All right. We can do that, but I think first we still must consecrate these bodies. And we must make sure that we take great care with moving the Morning Star, because we want to make sure that we put the wielder to rest. We do not want to disturb them further.
The temple can illuminate such corruption. I'm sure it would be able to do the same with its divinity. If we just head there straight away and move the corruption from its source, all these bodies would be fixed immediately.
The Morning Star is not the source of this corruption. These restless undead are the source. The Morning Star may be a piece to the curse that is laid upon this land in a more greater way, and I agree that we should return the Morning Star to its rightful owner if it is at the temple. But I think for now, it is important to move these bodies and consecrate this place.
That sounds good to me.
T-Hole, would you mind holding the Morning Star? Maybe it will react with your crown.
Sure. I'll just take it.
Well, that is the system. Oh, yeah, Zarius doesn't know. The mercenary company you're in has a system where all magic items belong to T-Hole. And he will sometimes allow you to have one or two to use.
Yeah, it depends on how humble is feeling that day.
Or at least it seems like it worked out that way.
It is true, yeah.
So as soon as you take the Morning Star into your hand, you pull it out of the water. It appears now, once it's out of the water, to be made of adamantine that's gilded with gold. It's much heavier than a Morning Star has any right to be. It weighs about 6 pounds. The symbols across its surface seem to depict a warrior slaying a dragon. But there's a lot of symbology of the 4 gods as well, particularly Asheros. Most of the symbols, most of the religious symbols relate to Asheros. A lot of the stories seem to just be depictions of scenes from the life of this warrior that's depicted on it. But when you grip it, you can feel there's a sentience in this weapon. It is devout, and there's a fiery sense of urgency that's washing over you. Somehow this was a weapon, you get the sense of a king or a kingdom, and you get the sense that it thinks it has some unfulfilled destiny that it needs to embark upon. Some magical items are hard to pick out among their mundane counterparts, but not this Morning Star. This is clearly magical and probably highly magical.
Okay.
Does Lusharosi notice the symbolism with Asheros?
Yeah, you would notice that.
So I would go over to T-Hole and look at the Morning Star and try to discern and ask T-Hole, can I have a look at this, please?
Of course, it seems like it was made with you in mind.
So when I take it, do I feel that same thing?
Yes, you do.
So Lusharosi will be kind of overcome with this and kind of drop to his knees, feeling the righteous power from this thing, kind of unprepared for all of it. And he'll just kind of be like, whoa.
Here is what it looks like.
Oh, that's awesome looking. So with the sense of the unfulfilled purpose, is there any ability for me to kind of get a better discernment of what that specific goal is?
You would have to spend some time with a weapon, like at least a short rest to begin to unravel anything really about it. It is kind of communicating with you. It's clearly, you get a sense of strong relief and joy. You sort of get the sense from holding it, as would T-Hole, that it was concerned that it was going to be lost forever, just dropped in this swamp and never be found again. So it's extremely relieved that it's in the hands of somebody it finds worthy again. T-Hole, not so much that sense. It did not really did not have relief that T-Hole was worthy of it.
That's okay. T-Hole doesn't need any external validation.
So looking
basis.
T-Hole, however, you would have gotten the sense that in a way it kind of recognized you, but not. It wasn't a strong memory. But this thing is probably super, super old, and it may have known you back when you founded the Empire. Something like that.
I never forget a mace.
So I'm going to call out to Zarius, and I'll say, Zarius, I think that this weapon may have been
source.
Calling.
Yes.
Yes, I think so. And I do agree that it has some kind of purpose that it needs to fulfill, and it was calling to us to help it do so. But for the time being, we still must consecrate these bodies. We do not want them rising to be restless undead And it is only right to lay these poor souls to rest, as I'm sure that by them being here, their final moments were not pleasant.
Agreed. I will use my my Eyes of the Grave ability just to make sure there are no more undead within 60 feet. I guess I'll kind of like centralize myself in all the bodies and use the ability.
You sense that here there is a mud trap that probably you could have avoided easily enough with Hellweir, but it seems as if there are 3 of those bog zombies that are trapped in the mud trap.
Okay.
And so if you had gotten caught in it, they would have dragged you down.
Sure. I just kind of like toss a stick or a rock over in that area, avoid that spot.
What happens in that spot?
More of the walking dead. Seems they got trapped in the peat.
Before we continue, do any of you have any grievous injuries that I might tend to?
I could use some more hit points if there's a little bit of attention if y'all are willing. I'm about half up.
Did you see my message in there saying that you would have gotten 20 HP instead of 16 from whenever I healed you?
I modified it to reflect on that.
All right.
I'll spend my entire remainder of Lay on Hands, so you'll get an additional 19.
Cool.
So as you're moving the bodies, you realize that some of you realize that most of them have something on them, like a couple of coins. Some of them have potions. Some of the arrows, like most of the equipment they carried is destroyed because it's been here in this water for months. But there are some arrows that seem suspiciously undamaged by all the water.
Yeah.
Some of them have
would
packs.
pocket them.
What about that armor that was on the elf?
Yeah, that
That
also
had
seems
Morningstar?
that also seems strangely unblemished. So some of the stuff that they had on them might be valuable. The armor, you're sure, is elven chain.
Mhm.
I mean, it's elf size, so I don't know who can wear it
Maybe
or
T-Hole.
who would want to.
Lusharosi would want to make sure that the elf maintains her modesty.
I'll for each of the bodies, I will put 2 copper pieces, probably from their own pocket, onto their eyes.
That's fine.
So, about how long does this take?
It'll probably to collect all the bodies. It would probably take half an hour or so, and then another hour and 10 minutes. So let's say 2 hours overall. This is all the stuff you sort of find that looks like it's worth salvaging.
Oh, okay. Well, give them all to T-Hole.
Polished Stone's puzzle box? Oh. Only good things can come from a puzzle box. Some potions of healing, so... do we know immediately that they're potions of healing?
Yeah, I would say in this case. I mean, technically no, but I'm not going to worry about it for now.
What's a steel hunter's cap?
It's like a steel yarmulke.
Oh, okay.
It's basically a decorative steel cap that you wear on your head. Like if you've ever seen Excalibur, the movie,
Yeah.
how Merlin wears that metal hat. It's similar to that.
Okay.
All right.
So T-Hole would be interested in this Sinaro Codex.
Yeah, that's the one wrapped in. Nomis Silvercloth is waterproof, so that's probably why it was wrapped around it. But it seems a lot of the pages are still damaged, but these are the spells you can make out, or that you would be able to after you sort of clean them up a bit, so you can see the ink a little better.
So if you would these like be scrolls, or would these be like
This is
things I could now know?
Yeah, this is a spell book, so you have to do like a little bit. You basically need some like alcohol to help you clean up the pages and some time. But once you clean it up, you could transcribe these into your own spell book.
Okay. Yeah.
Or just have 2 spell books.
I'll
That
take
too.
the stone puzzle box and a potion of healing. Okay, why are you laying on my shit? God damn you.
Maybe we just need that bird to come back, scare him off, and scare your neighbors.
Yeah.
So you can see as you're moving these bodies that they died in a lot of different ways. The one elf clearly was killed by the tentacle piercing her head. 3 elves have severe abdominal lacerations, probably claws that dug into their stomachs. 1 elf was simply decapitated. 1 died of a bite wound to the face and throat. 2 elves rather, show no physical injuries that you can find. You're not even sure what killed her. The 1 human who was armed pretty much like the elves, the armor was torn open at the front, and the entire, like all of her ribs were exposed. Several of them are broken. The Quaggoths, Koatoa, Flumps, and everything else all have multiple holes in them, probably arrow wounds. They probably got peppered with arrows by the elves. The Illithid has several arrow wounds in its head and body, and then the spike from the Morningstar that was driven into its brain directly.
So Lusharosi will say, I don't know that it would be appropriate to consecrate the bodies of the elves and the humanoids alongside the Quaggoth and this tentacle-based creature.
Why not?
I do think that they should be consecrated, but I think that given the contentious nature, it might be better to consecrate them separately. Put a little distance between them.
I don't know. The tentacle creature looks kind of cute.
They are now comrades in the afterlife, having died together on the battlefield.
I do not care for these damned elves, and I'll be soon enough to gather their ears before burying them.
Lusharosi is going to take a moment to pray to Asheros for guidance.
Asheros is often inscrutable and does not answer every prayer. Asheros has decided this time to not really give you guidance on what to do. As Hellweir continues to take ears, I'll say you get 17 elf ears.
Ooh, that's the best part of the loot.
Yeah, but you got an uneven amount.
Yeah.
So
Well, but
I'm halfling ears.
they're all basically pickled, so they're like snacks.
Did you guys take the leashes off?
Oh no, I'll assume you did that. Oh, by the way, 2 of you just dropped dead.
Oh yeah.
Those goddamn pickled fingers.
Yeah, they ultimately didn't burrow into your body the way the pickle fingers did.
Okay, good.
So there's that, but they were consistently draining you round after round.
Yeah.
Or
Kind of like Petrie's crabs.
Right.
Are they draining me?
kind of. I wonder if I would have had like a jar, because I wouldn't mind carrying a couple of these.
I mean, you could say you've taken a couple. You don't know how long they'll remain active,
Sure.
but they're still active now.
Might be able to use them to clean my scales. Carefully apply.
So Lusharosi will take Zarius's words into consideration and recognize that yes, all are the same under Asheros, and so there's no reason to separate them.
That's good, because he was dragging them all together. So
Yeah. You see, like, Hillweir's just dragging them nonchalantly and then kicking them while they're in the pile and then just continuing them back.
are there any of them that don't have apparent eyes?
There are the gray-skinned humanoids that actually don't. None of them seem to have any eyes.
Do they have heads?
One of the elves is missing its head, but you're able to locate the head
Okay.
after some searching. But the disc-shaped creatures that float around as you move near them, they don't seem to have heads, or they're all head, depending on. They're just basically like heads with tentacles, maybe.
Okay. I'll just place the coppers on them.
Yeah, Illithid are sort of commonly known. Like everybody would know what a mind flayer is, simply because they tried to take over the empire about 200 years ago. They got famous, but Quaggoth and the gray skin things, which are Grimlocks, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily know those.
Right. I mean, for the Grimlocks, I'll just place the coins where the eyes would be.
So
you do that, and you go through the whole ritual, asking Asheros to guide their souls through the veil, where Melora will judge them and sort them into their respective afterlives. It's now probably early afternoon, a little after 1 p.m. when you finish that up, and you feel pretty confident that these things are now at rest of a sort and won't rise up again.
okay. At that point, I'm going to go over to Elise and see if she is conscious yet.
Yeah, she came around.
Okay.
The dryads have since wandered off.
Elise, do you understand what you've done?
I understand that you will all die for defiling the grave of Zaxab.
Where's his grave?
It is all around us.
T-Hole's he's gonna drop his drawers and piss. He is pretty peeved that she attacked him out of the blue.
You see, with that, she tries to wriggle out of her bindings. Oh, and she does. She is so incensed at this kicking into the water. She just starts thrashing around and squirming until eventually you see her hands free of the ropes.
As she does this, can I try to touch her and cast protection from evil and good? See if that does anything. Time for me to do that.
Yeah, sure. You can do that.
Okay. So, because I was going to do that eventually, anyways, but yes, I'll do that now before I can get information out of her. So, Jesus Christ, wiggly little fucking brewer.
It's Amphilis.
No, Amphilis is dead.
Yeah, Amphilis is dead.
Oh, I thought you meant. I thought we were talking about Amphilis.
No, this is your potential wife. You know.
So does casting the spell have any effect on her?
No, not that you can see. She is still incensed. And she lunges at T-Hole.
Dunk.
Make me a strength or acrobatics check.
All right. Let's see. Oh, it'd be better. Well, acrobatics probably.
So you are now grappled. She clearly has the intent, you can just see from the way she's positioning herself, of pushing you under and drowning you.
All right. So after seeing the nil effect of the spell, I will shout, "Whatever has taken her is there's no saving her. Elise is gone."
All right, so I'm gonna cast Thunderwave then.
You're in the water.
Well, he's not underwater yet.
Yeah, I'm just grappled. And fuck it, I'm gonna cast at level 3.
Well, I will see anyway if she makes her save. She does not. So she is both dead and flying through the air. As you just see her body is completely limp as she flies away. And as she flies past the rest of you, you realize like the front of her head is just caved in by the force of this blast as she splashes into the water on her back and sinks.
Does she skip? Does she skip like a stone?
No, because the heavy dress she's wearing has just absorbed way too much water at this point, trudging through the swamp.
So like T-Hole's like, he basically was like, he had enough. She did this, and then like he's just like, yeah, and then like as she flew, she like hit a tree, then fell in.
So Lusharosi's gonna be like, well, one more body to consecrate.
Yeah. I've already started to go over there and grab the body.
Well, it would have been nice to know who this Zaxab is, but I guess we won't know. At least not from Elise.
Yeah.
Give me
the name. Ring a bell.
Yeah, do I know the name from my dream?
You have never heard you did not hear the name in your dream, but give me either an investigation check or an intelligence check.
Everybody?
Yeah, everybody can. I mean, anybody who got above a 15 can at least guess that Zaxab isn't, it's not a name in any sort of language you'd be familiar with. It might be the Mind Flayer that's dead, since clearly it's somebody who's dead in this pile of bodies.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And the Mind Flayer would sort of explain why people were acting odd and townsfolk were attacking the mayor and Bogtown. And
it would also explain some of the paranoia that may have been going on in Akator.
Right. It doesn't necessarily explain it that the Mind Flayer is dead. That's the mystery that still remains. Dead Mind Flayers usually lose their control over their thralls.
Did we find anything particular off the Mind Flayer's body?
Right.
Nothing of value. You did find, it was wearing tattered robes. It had on its belt a crystal, but the crystal seems to be an ordinary rock crystal. So, maybe you might get somebody stupid to pay you a gold piece for it, but it's not inherently all that valuable.
I'd like to ritually give me 10 minutes.
Oh, you have plenty of time. I need to, consecrate this body.
Be another hour and 10 minutes for that. Really should have just killed her up front. Save yourself some time.
I know that now.
I'm going to cast Detect Magic and kind of walk around a little bit, see if anything stands out.
Other than the stuff you've already found, the only thing you detect is the crystal's not magical, but it's registering something.
Okay.
So it's almost like it's next to kin to magic.
Interesting. Right. So like psionic.
Right.
Yeah. I want to shatter it. I'm gonna take my quarterstaff and see if I can break it.
Okay. Yeah, you find something solid to place it against.
Yeah.
Probably a body. And then might as well do Elise Brewer since
Find
that cap.
Yeah.
Find the war cap.
So, you put something up against the tree and brace it, and you're able to shatter it.
Okay.
Eventually. Maybe it takes a hit or two.
All right. Well. It was registering something, so I've gotten rid of it. Hopefully this will
be safe than sorry.
Right. What your investigation wouldn't have figured out exactly is maybe this creature was Zaxab, but you don't necessarily know what my own one would reference. It's clearly it's the same creature, but it's an odd turn of phrase.
Mm.
Mm.
Well,
Oh well.
hopefully this is the last we've heard of this Zaxab and my own.
So that's a fair place to end it, since it's past 1 for me.
Yeah.
So where do you think you'll go next?
Um,
Since this
I'm thinking
was
the temple,
a lot
right?
of
the temple, yeah.
I was just wondering if you were going to go rest or try to rest here.
Yeah, probably rest. Yeah, probably do the 8 hours.
Well, you'd have to wait a whole day to do the 8 hours.
Oh, yeah, true.
It's only like
Do it
2 in the
rest at least.
afternoon.
Fuck it, just go straight to the temple then.
Well, no, because if we were going to rest, we would need to make a shelter anyways, and Hellweird, that would be on you since you're our club ranger.
Yeah.
So, and it's a bit of a swamp here. We might be able to get some protection from the trees with the dryads and everything.
We gotta wait a whole day while there's Quagoffs which come out at night, and it's probably best if we
took
just.
care of that. We took care of that.
Oh, we did? Yeah.
Ones around here anyway. The dead ones.
Either way, we shouldn't rest here. We should move for resting.
Well, I mean, if it's only 2, we have enough time to return to the hut that we came from.
The hut.
You mean-
well, back at
We'll spend the
Bogtown.
night in.
Gotcha.
And then we can also ransack what the brewers left there.
have, yeah.
Good guy paladins, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, they're not going to use it. Nothing about finders keepers in Ashros's book.
All right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we'd probably end up going back to Bogtown, wait the day.
So you
And
make your way back easily enough because Hellweir can't get lost because of his ranger ability, so you can just retrace your steps to get back there pretty easily. It still takes several hours to get back there, but everything looks to be more or less unchanged, except that the fire appears to have tamped down quite a bit. There's still black smoke coming out of it, so it's, the center of it is still hot and burning, but it looks like it's going to go out on its own naturally enough.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find some donkey jerky in there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully.
My poor donkey.
Kurt, you mentioned something about us possibly leveling up after this session.
Yeah, you'll definitely be level 6 next time.
Yes!
So everybody should level up.
I can double attack.
I get my sentinel at death's door.
Ooh.
I have no idea what I get.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know when Peter gets back. It might be next time he'll be around.
September.
Right. But next time is September. Next month.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
Well, I don't know if he gets back right at the beginning of September, though. It would be slightly helpful since it's easier for him to meet you in a town than you stumble across each other in the middle of the swamp somehow.
Yeah.
Could have been one of the people.
Maybe he just like came back to Bogtown. Maybe he was like a fur seller, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, he is Larson.
He's Larson. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'll work something out with him whenever he gets back.
Cool.
All right, I'll write up a summary of the session at some point.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks, Kurt.
Later, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was fun.
Yeah.
See you later.